A significant winter storm will dump heavy snow and make travel dangerous as it makes its way across the west of the country over the weekend, forecasters warned early Saturday. High winds, heavy snow and heavy precipitation will reach the Pacific Northwest today, then impact California, the National Weather Service said in a bulletin. More than 5 feet of snow is expected in the Sierra Nevada, resulting in extremely dangerous travel, especially across mountain passes, it added. The U.S. Forest Service activated a backcountry avalanche watch late Friday in the Central Sierra, including Tahoe, and warned of higher avalanche dangers Saturday into Sunday. A winter storm with gale-force winds, high-intensity snowfall and feet of new snow accumulation may result in widespread avalanche activity in the mountains, the Forest Service Sierra Avalanche Center said Friday. Triggering avalanches would be easy on steep slopes in exposed and sheltered areas where new snow rests on top of weak snow or where wind-drifted snow exists near ridges, it added. 30 inches of snow was recorded late Thursday night and overnight at Yosemite at the top of Mammoth Mountain Ski Resort near Mammoth Lakes, the most snow recorded so far in the region, according to the Associated Press. Elsewhere, 1 to 3 feet of snow are expected across mountain ranges of the West Coast, the NWS said. As the system moved east, it added that confidence was unusually high for strong winds and significant snows to produce hazardous impacts across the central and northern plains and into the Midwest starting Monday night. In California, where drought is still ongoing, heavy rainfall and unsettled weather across the state last week has improved drainage basin conditions and soil quality, according to the National Drought Monitor. Nevertheless, storms and extreme rainfall in times of drought could cause rivers to burst their banks in areas of flash flooding, increasing hazards for commuters and residents in the region, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Winter storm barrels into Sierra Nevada, prompting avalanche warning. A winter storm packing high winds and potentially several feet of snow blew into the Sierra Nevada on Saturday, triggering thousands of power outages in California, closing a mountain highway at Lake Tahoe and prompting an avalanche warning in the backcountry. The storm is expected to bring as much as 4 feet of snow to the upper elevations around Lake Tahoe by Monday morning, the National Weather Service said. A 250-mile stretch of the Sierra from north of Reno to south of Yosemite National Park was under a winter storm warning at least until Sunday. Travel will be very difficult to impossible with whiteout conditions, the Weather Service said in Reno, where rain started falling Saturday. A flood advisory was in effect from Sacramento to the California coast near San Francisco. The storm will impact the California coastline into the southwest this weekend with heavy to excessive rainfall along the Golden State coastal areas and widespread heavy snow from the Sierra into much of the Intermountain West, the National Weather Service said in a statement. The excessive rainfall will affect the central California coast on Saturday, and Southern California around the greater Los Angeles and San Diego areas on Sunday. The U.S. Forest Service issued an avalanche warning for the backcountry in the mountains west of Lake Tahoe, where it said several feet of new snow and strong winds will result in dangerous avalanche conditions. A stretch of California Highway 89 was closed due to heavy snow between Tahoe City and South Lake Tahoe, California, the Highway Patrol said. Interstate 80 between Reno and Sacramento remained open, but chains were required on tires for most vehicles. More than 30,000 customers were without power in the Sacramento area at one point Saturday morning. It had been restored to all but about 3,300 by midday. But forecasters warned winds gusting up to 50 miles per hour could bring down tree branches and power lines later in the day. About 10 inches of snow already had fallen at Mammoth Mountain Ski Resort south of Yosemite, where more than 10 feet of snow has been recorded since early November. It just seems like every week or so, Another major storm rolls in, resort spokeswoman Lauren Burke said. The storm warning stretches into Sunday for most of the Sierra and doesn't expire until Monday around Tahoe. As much as 18 to 28 inches of snow was forecast through the weekend at lake level, and up to 4 feet at elevations above 7,000 feet with 50 miles per hour winds and gusts up to 100 miles per hour. On the Sierra's eastern slope, a winter weather advisory runs from 10 p.m. Saturday to 10 a.m. for Reno, Sparks and Carson City, with snow accumulations of 1 to 3 inches on valley floors and up to 8 inches above 5,000 feet. The system will become a large-scale and significant storm early next week across the central and southern U.S. with heavy snow, rain and severe weather, according to the Weather Service. The snow is expected to spread into the mountains of the Central Rockies in Arizona Sunday, with totals of 6 to 12 inches anticipated through early Monday morning, the Weather Service said.
Artemis 1 spacecraft heads for Sunday splashdown to wrap up historic mission. Closing out a 25-day voyage around the moon, NASA's Artemis 1 spacecraft closed in on Earth Saturday, on track for a 25,000 miles per hour re-entry Sunday that will subject the unpiloted capsule to a hellish 5,000-degree inferno before splashdown off Baja California. In an unexpected but richly symbolic coincidence, the end of the Artemis 1 mission, expected at 12:39 p.m., will come 50 years to the day after the final Apollo moon landing in 1972. Testing the Orion capsule's 16.5-foot-wide Apollo-derived AFCOAT heat shield is the top priority of the Artemis 1 mission, and it is our priority 1 objective for a reason, said mission manager Mike Serafin. There is no arc jet or aerothermal facility here on Earth capable of replicating hypersonic re-entry with a heat shield of this size, he said. And it is a brand new heat shield design, and it is a safety-critical piece of equipment. It is designed to protect the spacecraft, and so the heat shield needs to work. We've collected an immense amount of data characterizing system performance from the power system, the propulsion, GNC, and so far, the flight control team has downlinked to over 140 gigabytes of engineering and imagery data, said Jim Jeffer, the Orion Vehicle Integration Manager. The team is already analyzing that data to help not only understand the performance on Artemis 1, but play forward for all subsequent missions, he said. If all goes well, NASA plans to follow the Artemis 1 mission by sending 4 astronauts around the moon in the program's second flight, Artemis 2, in 2024. The first moon landing would follow in the 2025 to 26 timeframe when NASA says the first woman and the next man will set foot on the lunar surface. The unpiloted Artemis 1 capsule flew through half of an orbit around the moon that carried it farther from Earth, 268,563 miles, than any previous human-rated spacecraft. 2 critical firings of its main engine set up a low-altitude lunar flyby last Monday that, in turn, put the craft on course for splashdown Sunday. NASA originally planned to bring the ship down west of San Diego, but a predicted cold front bringing higher winds and rougher seas prompted mission managers to move the landing site south by about 350 miles. Splashdown is now expected south of Guadalupe Island, some 200 miles west of Baja California. Orion will plunge from 400,000 feet to about 200,000 feet in just 2 minutes, then climb back up to about 295,000 feet before resuming its computer-guided fall to Earth. Finally, at an altitude of about 22,000 feet and a velocity of around 280 miles per hour, small drogue parachutes will deploy to stabilize the spacecraft. The ship's main parachutes will deploy at an altitude of about 5,000 feet, slowing Orion to a sedate 18 miles per hour or so for splashdown. NASA and Navy recovery crews aboard the USS Portland, an amphibious dock vessel, will be standing by within sight of splashdown, ready to secure the craft and tow it into the Navy ship's flooded well deck. Once the deck's gates are closed, the water will be pumped out, leaving Orion on a custom stand, protecting its heat shield, for the trip back to Naval Base San Diego. But first, the recovery team will stand by for up to 2 hours while engineers collect data on how the heat of re-entry soaked into the spacecraft and what effects, if any, that might have on the crew cabin temperature. We are on track to have a fully successful mission with some bonus objectives that we've achieved along the way, Seraphin said. And on entry day, we will realize our priority 1 objective, which is to demonstrate the vehicle at lunar re-entry conditions.